So the last 2 years, just tell me how you think it's been as mayor of Morro Bay.
So, being a small city with a single, what I'll call economic engine, which is tourism, economically, it's been a challenge for the city of Morro Bay. When we lost the power plant many years ago, that was a significant source of revenue for the city. And so we've been trying to build up our reserves. Over the last 2 years, we have totally revamped our financial systems, financial policies, improved transparency. In fact, we've won 2 awards nationally for our financial reporting to our community. In addition to that, through my leadership, we increased our reserves from about 15% to 28%. And thank goodness we did that because of COVID-19. COVID-19 hit the city very hard. Obviously, tourism was shut completely down in March. At the last quarter of our fiscal year, we lost about $2 million of a $15 million general fund budget. Fortunately, because of those reserves being there, we were able to not only tap into those and utilize those, but actually we decreased spending by $1.6 million. We had to furlough, unfortunately, a number of people. We had layoffs, and we cut our budget by $1.6 million. So we were able to end up with a balanced budget at the end of the year. Next year will be difficult, however, and as you may know, we have a sales tax, a 1% sales tax initiative that the council approved to go to the voters this year. That will help us sustain core city services like police, fire, safety net, water, sewer, etc.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Was the 1% sales tax? What's your take on that and the need for it in the city? If you don't mind expanding a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a good question. Why do a 1-cent sales tax initiative? One, we were planning to consider that even before COVID-19 hit. Now that COVID-19 hit, not only did it impact our budget at the end of last year, but next year going forward, we will have significant impacts because of that and the lack of federal funding for any locales like cities, counties, and or state governments. So in looking at ways to improve revenue, one of the considerations was to look at our TOT, our hotel tax, and increase that. For every 1% that is increased, that brings the city about $300,000. Not that much, but a 1-cent sales tax increase brings the city approximately $2 to $2.2 million, which is huge when you're talking about a $15 million general fund budget. I think one of the considerations council thought about was the fact that about 70% of our sales tax is paid for by tourists. And so this is, a way to have tourists pay their fair share when they come into the community for infrastructure, community services, public safety, those kinds of things. And in examining it, we found out that the community members, the cost to community members, based upon the average spend, and 70% of that being covered by tourists, the cost to our community would be $100 per individual per year, which is a small amount to, I think, pay in order to ensure that we continue core services and balance our budget next year.
Why are some of the reasons you decided to run again this year?
Number one, I have a passion for the city and seeing it be successful in the future. I love the job. We have foregone our salaries. Most of the council people have done that, including myself. So I'm working for free. Certainly it isn't for the money. I love our city staff and working with our city staff, but we've got some big things coming in the next couple of years that I really want to help usher through, that I've been involved in over the last almost 6 years now, including offshore wind, which I know you've reported on and are familiar with. We think in conjunction with working with Congressman Carbajal that we will be able to surpass the Department of Defense issue and actually begin to see the identification of a site off of Morro Bay, and then hopefully the building of windmill farm off of Morro Bay, which economically will advantage us significantly. I've been participating for the last 4 years on the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management's, task force. So I've been very involved with that and want to see that through. In addition to that, the budget issues will continue to be an issue, and tightening our finances along with new revenue sources through economic expansion. We've got a number of things happening. Marketplace Plaza down in the Embarcadero, a rather large development that has begun, not started in terms of actual construction, but the process for the RFP being let has begun, and we think we have some very viable candidates for that. The housing element we just passed. I'm passionate about affordable housing, which almost, when you think about the central coast of California, is an oxymoron, but we have an opportunity here in Morro Bay. We've identified a number of what we call potential sites that could significantly improve our stock of affordable housing and workforce housing. And it's desperately needed, as you know, across the coast. And then, we've got a number of partnerships with our business community. We've done some changes on the Embarcadero with our new lease management policy. I want to see that through in terms of implementation. I also obviously want to see the completion of the wastewater treatment facility, which is now about 30% completed. And so those are the exciting things that I look forward to being a part of in the next couple of years.
Yeah, what do you think sets yourself apart from your running mate?
So, not my running mate, yeah, I certainly.
Sorry, your opponent.
Yeah, my opponent, yeah. So, I think a number of things. One, my experience in running large organizations. My background is clinical pharmacy. I have a doctorate in clinical pharmacy. I've been a director of pharmacy departments in hospitals, and then became a hospital CEO for a number of years. So I've managed very large, complicated organizations. Like a city, and I think I have that experience as compared to my opponent who does not have that. Two, I have a financial background that's significant, and with that,
1 second, I'm just going to pause because that was a
that
loud.
noise, yeah.
Can you start over
Yeah.
again?
Financial?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a financial background that I think is differentiated from my opponent, that serves me well in terms of the changes that I talked about that the city has made with regard to the foundation of our systems for finance, but also expanding our reserves and then creating new revenue sources. And then lastly, my opponent does not support the 1% sales tax initiative. And the issue there for me is that he's vocally said he would like to see an increase in TOT or hotel tax. Well, as I mentioned earlier, a 1% increase in TOT brings the city only $300,000. So in order to get the same amount that a 1-cent sales tax increase would bring, you'd have to increase TOT or hotel taxes by 7%. We're already at 14.5%. And if you increased it to 7%, that would make us literally the highest in the state of California. So it doesn't make sense to me financially to even begin to think about that. So I think those are the major things.
So Morro Bay has been dealing with, like you said, the influx of visitors, but unfortunately that's been coming with increase of trash and people not wearing the masks. I know that you guys have a couple of campaigns in place already, but if reelected, how do you foresee kind of mitigating some of those issues in the future?
Yeah, that's I think become a huge issue with takeout only or outdoor seating, and an influx of a large number of tourists. We have seen a proliferation of trash. So we've initiated our Trash Hero program, which is more of a public relations campaign to make people aware that, number one, we're looking for more volunteers to help us pick up trash, especially on the weekends, but also number two, from an infrastructure standpoint, we've put together a committee to look at expanding collection capacity, increasing capability to collect throughout the weekend. Normally on Sunday, we're limited now, and we're looking at increased services there, but that means the redeployment of funds from other revenue sources, and right now finances are very, very tight. And so That will, I think, continue to be an issue until things open up again, which may not be for quite a while.
Anything else that you wanted to add or kind of highlight about your campaign and what you want voters to know about you?
Just that, I think our response to COVID-19 has been outstanding. We've got one of the lowest rates per capita in the county and the state, and I really congratulate our citizens for that. Our ability to respond quickly and control our finances and decrease spending, I think, has been something that's been very important. But I'll close with this. My passion is to serve, and I'm here to serve Morro Bay. Whether I'm salaried or not is really not the issue, but it's so exciting to work with a great city staff. And there are some great initiatives that we have begun that are big projects that I'd love to see continue to come to fruition in the future.